This is Jeffrey Jansen, and we are live with Father Jim here. And believe it or not, this is not really what you think. Everybody else thinks it is something, and he's all nervous, so don't worry about it. Anyway, everybody's always been wanting to know who inspires me and who the different people that are leaders in my life. And every time I've told you guys I was going to actually show you exactly who they are. So, and why they are. Father Jim here, I met him in a Cursillo, and he's a spiritual leader of mine. And he's also a brother and a friend, and he's the one that lets me know that life is okay. He's the guy that usually can pull me out of my shell when I go into my shell, and I'm usually the guy that's pulling him out of his shell. But the whole idea is with these conversations, if you guys remember me telling you, is just for you to be able to meet great people that inspire. There's so much negativity in today's world, and there's so many people telling each other, you can't do this, or you can't do that, or he said, or she said, or that we forgot to be friends. We forgot to be brothers. We forgot a true calling. It's not about race, religion, color, creed, sexuality, or anything like that. It's about being there for each other and accepting people for who they are, but to lead by example. At no time have the people in my life ever told me who to believe in, how to believe, what to believe. They led by example. Father Jim is one of them. And, he just asks questions. Like, what do you believe? How do you believe? And instead of being like, you have to do this, or you're going to hell, or you have to say this, or no one's ever done that in my life. And I see people out there today that they get around people that are tolerated, not celebrated. And so I always give out, you need to get around people that celebrate you, not people that tolerate you. And then I see people that are going to the bars and the clubs and all this stuff all the time because they're looking for a way out of their life, not realizing that they matter and they're important. And so today, I'm going to introduce you to a very important person in my life, which is Father Jim Wheeler, a.k.a. Father Trucker. And the reason why I like saying Father Trucker is because a lot of you all know that I'm big of military and I'm big with truck drivers. And so when they called him Father Trucker, me not knowing the meaning behind it, when I met him at our Cursillo, that it spoke to me because I'm like, oh, Father Trucker. I deal with truck drivers every single day, and we all know what truck drivers are. They are heroes of the road, the heroes of America that basically drive the roads of America, but they themselves sit behind a wheel every single day, alone behind a wheel, and they get to think all the time. And, sometimes they make rash decisions, sometimes they don't. Just like military, you spend a lot of time by yourself. You spend a lot of time alone. And to me, it always spoke volumes to try to reach people like truck drivers and military because I'm in that same boat. And when I heard Father Trucker, that's the only thing I heard. I didn't hear Father Jim Wheeler or Father Wheeler or know where he's from, or I didn't hear that Franciscan. No, all I heard was Trucker. and I know he's not sure what to say, so I'm kind of loosening him up a little bit here. But the whole point of this is we're just going to talk back and forth a little bit so that you understand that in life you have a calling. I don't know what your calling is. I don't know what your purpose is, but you do, and you matter. And personally, the last few weeks have been extremely hard for me because I've lost 4 of my brothers, 2 of my uncles, for the military and everything else. But my family structure, my spiritual structure, my business structure has a very strong support behind it. And because they support me, I want you to know who they are and why they can support you also, even if it's just through either prayer, and if you're not religious, just through, positive vibes, like some people told me, or rocks. But I might throw those rocks at you, so if you pray to a rock, I might throw it at you. Just kidding, or my buddy. So anyway, this is Father Trucker. Now you can say hi to everybody there.
Hello, people of God. How are you doing today? We're all children of God. And when Jesus was here on earth, he accepted people where they were and led them along the way. When I met Jeff on his Cursillo, 2017. I thought, how did I get to this degree? But anyway, we've had several meetings, many times talks on the phone, face to face, and I've gotten to know him. And I appreciate that, and because he's always building people up. He's built me up at times, and I remember one time just recently I thought he is down. I didn't have a chance to see him face to face. The reason I knew he was down is because he wouldn't say anything. So that was a hint. But anyway, that was what it was at that time. And he always was able to build people up by his motivation, inspiration, and I've experienced that in my life. Thank you, Jeff.
So let me ask you this: how long have you been a priest now?
1966 to 2019, January 2019.
Did you have nuns in grade school growing up as your teachers?
Yes.
You still have the bruises on your hands from the rulers?
No, they just pulled my hair from the back.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, they these nuns,
But they were good ladies. They were good ladies.
Of course. My dad, we were just at a family function. My Aunt Mary Ann Wellman, she died a couple years ago, and Ed just died. And Mary Ann, who's older than my dad, kept his report card from when he was 6 years old. And they gave it to me, and I hung it on the refrigerator. It's like, see, it's the first time report card hung on the refrigerator. And my dad was born in 1940, and this was from 1946. And he was smarter than me. I tell you what, he had all kinds of good grades and everything else. But he had nuns as teachers too and stuff like that. And I forgot, he went to St. John's, and they had that convent. So I think you were at his high school reunion or whatever. From
58 years.
Jeez.
That was 65.
Yeah.
53 years I've been a priest, I figured it out.
One of the things I love, because you knew that I knew Father John Beveridge, and then Father Chuck. No, it wasn't Father Chuck. It was Father Baptized Gracie. But every Christmas, they would always come out to the house, and it's funny because I knew priests more through them playing sports, through the activities, and less in church than I did when they were out there sitting there as coaches. And it's funny, most of them people think a priest, and they always get this misconception, yet everybody I've always known was always part of the family that were out there every single day, and they'll whack you upside the head if you get a strike, if you striked out or something. And I always tell everybody that, people are fearful of priests sometimes because they think that all they do is they go to church every day and they come home. They go to church every day and they go home. And they don't. And I try to explain that to people, and they don't know that they play golf, and they play baseball and basketball, and they do all kinds of sports and everything, just like the nuns do. Several of them I actually swam with over at QU. And people get this, they just go to church and I think that's all priests do is sit in a church all day and have incense.
No, that's not all.
I guess that's the crazy thing, but they don't feel that they're approachable. And what I've told everybody is everybody I've known, like priest-wise, have always been approachable. And people that are leaders are approachable because it's people that close down that it's hard to get to them, so they can't do much good. And I think I've always told you got to be approachable, and you've always been approachable. It's just you got to let people know you're approachable.
Well, I worked on college camp with college students and high school students for about 25 years in my priesthood. And always believe in the ministry of presence, where they are.
Aren't you the one that started the Crucials here in Quincy, or helped start them and get the texts and the Crucials up and going?
I was in Cleveland, Ohio at the time, and we brought a team of people from Cleveland down to put on the first tech here in Quincy at Our Lady of Angels Seminary.
Why was it
seminary had been in Cleveland with me at the high school, and we had both been involved in tech then, and he wanted to get us started here in Quincy. So that was back in the sometime in the 1960s, late 1960s, when we came down here to put on the tech.
Tech is, for everybody that doesn't know, is Teens Encounter Christ. And but did you, like I said, what was the main why Quincy? I mean, why care? Why would it matter to bring something like that to Quincy and keep it here for this long?
Because of, for the youth, and here, and the first tech was was all seminarians at Our Lady Ranger Seminary, and then it grew from that to high school students, young college students, and then we needed lay leaders for the tech program. So then another priest friend of mine brought a Curcio team from Peoria, Illinois, and started the Peoria program here in Quincy, or the Curcio program here in Quincy. And then we had lay leaders from the Curcio program become involved in tech. That was the week because we couldn't do it by ourselves. We had to have lay people. And it was a renewal for the laity and the high school kids, students, and also for the adults through Curcio.
No, tech, when people think about it, it's not just a bunch of people sitting around. It's actually fun. It's like, interacting with each other. It's writing and drawing and just having a good time, almost just like an activity, like an event, so that you bring everybody together, correct?
Right, but, and also the people help one another. That they meet on a tech or on a Curcio, and they form a lot of times lasting friendships. And also the continued sharing of that by getting involved.
Now, would you say that tech to some people have been life-changing or saved their lives?
Well, I'm sure it has, because I worked in tech in Cleveland for 3 years, and that was quite an experience. I had a tech 3 there for a while. It was 3 weekends out of a month, and the 4th weekend was a day of renewal, and it was quite taxing on me, and I got burned out.
You get burned out? Never. You sound like me half the time. So, in other words, if tech didn't come to Quincy, and you did not care enough, and you wouldn't just be like, we could just keep it in Ohio, then technically, you would have never had an influence or changed anybody's life for the better.
Right.
It's not for the worst, because you can't do no worse.
But there are other ways you can. Like, students in college would say, Father, you need to talk to person X. I don't know who person X is. And they say, well, come down to the track team, on the track field, and I'll point him out to you. So I go down to the track team and watch them, and said, one of the guys goes, who's person X? Well, there he is right there. So I go and say, hey, sometime you want to go out for a meal. The college students like to go out for meals, so we go out for a meal.
Of course they do.
And then we got to know, I remember one person in particular, but he was a very angry young man. And then we go out for a meal, and he invited me over to his apartment for meals. And he is now a father, has children, is in administration in the school system in Chicago, and has been a very successful man.
Now, these,
Person.
the priests that live here with you here, they all do the same stuff you do, correct? Or
Well, let's see, there's two, myself and another priest here, Holy Cross, who work on Curcio. One of the priests lives here, the retired professor, 2 priests who live here are retired professors at Quincy University. And we have Brother Terry works at the library now, and another priest is chaplain at Director Campus Ministries University. Another priest is works at the university and keeps the Franciscan care as an alive at the university.
just want to bring them up because I know you don't like talking about yourself and the good that you do because you're kind of like me. But would you say those priests out there have made a difference in a lot of people's lives?
Oh, definitely.
And
Definitely.
they'll probably never know who those people are.
Well, in the teaching profession, they always say you never know, in high school, you never know if there's any response until 25 years later after you get out of high school. That's one of the standard things I've heard. And so a lot of times, really, it's like, well, I remember you from high school. The other day I was walking on Middle Clinton Trail, and with the Thanksgiving holiday, and a young person walked by me, and was, I don't walk as fast as that person did, so that person turned and said, "You're Father Jim, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." And said, "Well, you had my wedding 13 years ago." I said, "No." I said, "I'm sorry, I can't place who you are." And she told me the name and where the fiance worked, and oh, I remember now. Your father-in-law is a doctor, and you're from Kansas, and I remember where you lived here in Quincy. I said, "You're on target." So, well, thank you. She said, "Been having marriage." I think she's had 2 or 3 boys, or 2 or 3 children, I don't know. She went on the way of walking faster than me. So, and then I've made a lot of friends also through Lucille, and this gentleman right here, I value his friendship.
So would you say, as a priest, to the spiritual side of things, not religious side, just to the spiritual side, that every single person, no matter who they are, has a purpose? That they're created for a purpose. They're not just created because, oh, we just need to create them. They got a purpose. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and just recently I had read a book, and the author of that book said, when God created every day at the end of the first, at each day of creation, he said it was good. And then he created Adam and Eve, and he said they are very good. So every person is very good, and we all belong to God's family. We're all brothers and sisters in that. And we need our bodies for relationship, because again, we can't shake hands with a ghost. We have to have our bodies to have relationships, so that a lot of people can't accept their bodies, but it's a beautiful work of art, everything.
Right. Now, I like to talk a lot about, when you and I talk, and I think I talk about King David a lot. And the reason why I bring up King David a lot is because the guy messed up so many times. He failed over and over and over. But because he believed in God, he actually meant, when he asked forgiveness, he actually meant that God forgive him, because it wasn't one of those to where I'm going to sin, I'm going to go to church on Sunday and sin on Monday. It was, yeah, I kind of sent my best friend off to war so I could sleep with his wife type situation. Oh crap, I was wrong. God, please forgive me. But he meant it. And so, he took favor with God because he actually meant it, and, I always bring that up with people because I don't think there's a sin in the world that cannot be forgiven, because you can't kill the soul.
Jesus, there's so many beautiful lessons in the Bible, and one of the parables is the prodigal son. He took his father's inheritance, went away, and he was in a pig pen. And he was in a pig pen that he finally came to his senses, because he had nothing to eat, he had no one, no relationships. And he got enough courage to climb out of that pig pen and come back home to his father. And that's the woman at the well. She goes back home, and she says, come and see a man who's told me everything I've ever done. And so I didn't bring that up, it goes for the women too, for the prodigal son. Jesus said the shepherd will leave the 99, there's more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 who do not need to repent. And gives the parable that of the good shepherd. Jesus is a good shepherd. He goes after that one lost sheep and puts it on his shoulders, and that's a beautiful image for me, carrying that lamb on his shoulders back into the flock because it got lost. And we're all the shepherd. Jesus is our shepherd, and he calls us through other people. He works through Jeff, he works through me, through all of you. And you don't know the effect you have on people. It can be a very small thing. One time I was in a restaurant with a friend of mine, and we said, bless ourselves and the grace, and the gentleman behind said, when he left, said, thank you for your saving grace, I was watching you, and that would make an impression on me. So that's testimony, that's what it's. You witness Jeff all the time, and all of you people out there, you witness too, like your fellow workers, your family members, your friends, but however, and you need people. You need people that will help you when you fall, pick you up and walk back with you, along with you. Always like I say, I can walk ahead of you, but you didn't follow. I can walk beside you and let you lean on me, or I can walk behind you and pick you up when you fall.
I always like the one with the homeless guy on the road. I don't know the whole story, but it came to mind just now. Where people every day they brag and they say who they are and what they do and everything else. Yet they walk around the road, and the first time they see somebody on the road that's hurting, starving, dying, wasn't the first person went completely around them, so they didn't have to, and then walked on.
The Good Samaritan.
The Good Samaritan. Next person, basically, get away from me. You know, and
Priest walked by, the rabbi walked by, and
all people you would think of being leaders walk by this one person, you know, the one people that we follow, but they're ignoring the one thing that they tell everybody not to ignore.
and that person was a Samaritan who was not accepted by the Jewish people. And the woman at the well was a Samaritan that Jesus took a drink from. Got a drink out of Jacob's well.
They adjusted it, I think, to the guy at the house. He was expecting God to come visit. He made this huge feast at the table. And, you know, it reminds me of when Mom and everybody made parties and everything at her house. Mom was big in the Christmas parties, especially during the holiday. You invite everybody, and made all these roast beast and all this food and everything else. And knock at the door. It was a woman that was really, really hurting and starving and everything else. And okay, come in, but you know, hurry up. And I'm expecting a really important guest. I'm really expecting an important guest, but you know, go ahead. There's okay. Next person came. What was it? They needed to get one. So go warm yourself by the fire. But I'm expecting an important guest. Once they leave, the next one came and sit down and eat. Have a good, you know, that's fine. And at the end, the very next day, it's like he never came. And that's when God tells him, no, I came every day. I came 3 times to you, and you let me in each time. And most people forget, you know, they're looking for this big miracle. They're looking for that lottery. It's not going to happen because that's not what it's about. It's about doing good for others and not expecting